approaching an island that's very different, because that's how it wants to be. The most Hawaiian of all the 8 islands, Molokai has proudly and defiantly resisted all the economic temptations of tourism. Recently, it even saw off a billion-dollar consortium that wanted to build an upmarket resort on the island's remote northwest coast. A vacation ghetto for the super-rich simply wouldn't be right for Molokai. Keoki Pesquaya announces the start of a very special family gathering. His wife, Mikiala, welcomes the family, almost 100 people, in an opening ceremony in Hawaiian. These days, many of them live on more modern islands like Maui or Oahu and don't know that much about their ancestors' history. The family gathering will last 3 days. It's a kind of Hawaiian theme weekend. Mikiala wants to excite her young cousin's interest in their ancestors' lifestyle. The pickup procession is heading to a heiau, an old Hawaiian temple in the north of Molokai. Mikiala sings her family the story of the goddess Inki. Sacrifices were made to her here. Hawaiian gods had extraordinary abilities. The greater their mana, or spiritual power, the more forms and shapes they were able to assume. They could become humans, animals, or plants, whatever they wanted. The most powerful among them could even turn themselves into rain or sunbeams. Mikiala takes pride in the traditions of her ancestors. She's one of the few Hawaiians of her generation who speak fluent Hawaiian as well as English.
So these 2 stones here have...
It was her grandmother who taught her. To study, she went to Oahu, but she always knew she'd come back to her native island.
They're known as the Pohaku Ho'ikaika.
Only 8,000 people live on Molokai. Keoki Pesquaya grew up here. He too lived on Oahu for a while, where he worked as a professional hula dancer. It was on Oahu that he got to know Mikiala, and they returned together to Molokai. Last-minute instructions. The tent has been lent to them for the occasion. Typical of life on Molokai. It's a hard life here. There are hardly any jobs, so it's important that everyone supports each other. Mikiala is the organizer of the family, which traditionally gets together once a year for a big party at Thanksgiving.
Every year, the family kind of defaults to me to plan and put things together. Last year, I didn't want to do anything, so we didn't have anything. I just thought somebody else will take the lead and do it, and no. And then everybody was sad because we didn't get together, so I used to have to do it.
Like most families on Molokai, the Pesquayas have just about enough to live on. Mikiala has forgotten the vegetables. the men have to head off again to find luau leaves.
I'm gonna cut luau leaf. I'm gonna cut luau leaf.
Oh, you're gonna cut luau leaves now. I see you
Husband Keoki doesn't mind. He sets off happily with two cousins and their son, Kapu. Shopping on Molokai, Keoki doesn't drive to the island's only supermarket. They're going to a friend's garden. Here they can cut as many luau leaves as they need. And family celebrations on Molokai without the enormous green leaves are more or less unthinkable. After all, it's given them its name. Party in Hawaiian is luau, and the plant's considered a real delicacy.
Well, we're picking 40 pounds of luau leaf, these leaves, and you cook it down and it'll come to a pretty big pot. You know, we can feed at least 150 people. But we're looking at 40 pounds of luau leaf and I think 5 pounds of he'e or octopus. That's a luau, squid luau. Yeah.
More native Hawaiians live on Molokai than anywhere else in Hawaii. People like Keoki and his family, who are all descendant from the first Polynesian settlers. They live on so-called homestead land in the west of the island. For a symbolic payment of $1 a year, indigenous families can lease a 40-hectare plot of land and build a house on it. Authentic Hawaii. At first glance, it often looks typically American. Molokai is poor. Having too much of something is not generally a problem here, but the island does have a lot of post offices. 4 altogether, of which Post and Nut is probably the most original. It's run by Gary Lam, a Chinese immigrant. Alongside letters and parcels, he specializes in sending coconuts, which he collects himself. It's an international service. Postage to Europe, for example, costs $21. For this you get the coconut and a selection of the most colorful Hawaiian stamps. Gary will also paint the coconut on request.
We have been doing this since 1991, for 19 years. And we have sent out in that time approximately 50,000 coconuts all over the world. We sent them to every state in the United States, and many to Canada, many to Europe. We've sent to Asia and Africa. We had a customer who mailed a coconut to Namibia in Africa, and it took 4 months to get there, and for some reason it went to Vietnam first. I don't know why it went to Vietnam first, but it had a long journey, that coconut.
On the whole, the locals aren't as interested in Gary's coconuts. They get most things they need from the mainland or from the bigger Hawaiian islands.
Too late? No, it's not too late. Sorry, what do you need?
Gary is reliability personified.
Yes.
That's something everyone here values. And the coconuts are a sort of hobby for him. He's managed to negotiate all the hurdles of American bureaucracy.
The United States Department of Agriculture has authorized me to inspect the coconuts. We sent out so many coconuts that I arranged with the Department of Agriculture to make me the coconut inspector. So the alternative was to have each customer drive down to the airport and find the actual United States agriculture inspector, get the coconut inspected, and then bring it back here. And for convenience, I got them to make me the coconut inspector so that I can do the job.
Mikiala has arranged the next element of the Hawaiian weekend for that afternoon. In the island's little capital, Kaunakakai, 2 family teams in outrigger canoes are going to compete against one another while the others watch from the pier. Many of them will be paddling a canoe today for the first time. Nowadays, at home on Oahu, Hawaiian kids too generally prefer to sit in front of their PlayStations. Mikiala tells the others about her grandparents, who seldom made a good canoeing team. It's said that if people don't get on land, they'll also have problems in a canoe. Keoki explains to the novices how it's done. He's had an idea about how to divide people up into teams for the 2 boats. The intergenerational struggle within the family. Young will paddle against old. For Keoki and Mikiala, their canoes are far more than just a piece of sports equipment.
The first Polynesians came on their va'a, yeah. So the whole culture is based around the ocean. The va'a, that was their mode of transportation. And they honor and revere the canoe just as a person.
Yeah, each canoe has a name. A lot of times you would have different canoes for different purposes. So, like he was saying, the first people who came to these islands came on huge sailing vessels. And so it wouldn't be like the ones we saw today, the outrigger canoes. Those are more for inter-island,
fishing,
just inshore kind of traveling.
The Pesquayas on the trail of the Polynesian seafarers who crossed the South Sea in their canoes more than 1,000 years ago. Then Keoki starts the race.
Let's go! Rainbow me!
Young paddle against old. Aunts and uncles against their nieces and great-nephews. Almost everyone in the family is surprised by the result. Because while strength is important, in a canoe, what counts is technique and rhythm. And that's something the old-timers in the boat with Great-Aunt Anna are simply unbeatable at.
Hey, this is our oldest paddler, 76. Oldest paddler today. We had a good coach. Anna, you did a good job, man. You're the youngest of the group.
Thank you.
Change of scene. Gary the postman still has a lot to do. Hardly anyone on Molokai has a mailbox of their own. Most people, like Jesse Woods, pick up their mail from Gary.
Oh, good morning, Jesse.
Hey, good morning, Gary.
Good morning. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. How was your day?
Very nice, thanks.
Gary's is the central post office, right in the middle of Molokai. Deliveries to the sub-office in the west of the island come from here too.
Pretty much.
Raquel, the courier, drives the 20 miles every 2 days.
Good day for a drive.
Sometimes she takes Auntie Lizzie with her for the trip. Lizzie isn't really Raquel's aunt. On Hawaii, older friends are always referred to as auntie or uncle. Raquel's a woman of many talents. She does the mail run, drives the school bus, and runs a little shop selling plastic flowers. Life on Molokai can be pretty hard work.
Well, to live in paradise, you have to have more than one job. The cost of living here is so high. The food prices is so high. The gas price is so high. So basically, everything is high. We need to travel to Oahu to actually buy our clothes. So there's a lot of things that can cost a lot, to live here, especially on Molokai. We don't have everything what the other islands have. So I guess we could say we're pretty special here.
Arrival in Mauna Loa. Everyone here has known Raquel for years. They all know her story. Raquel used to be called Robert. She was born a man, but she always felt she was a woman. In other parts of the world, the village would have been in uproar, but Raquel's fellow islanders were completely laid back about it. Typical Molokai.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Aloha.
One man who had a profound influence on the history of the island was actually born in Belgium more than 150 years ago. His name was Joseph de Voister, but to this day everyone on Molokai knows the island's patron saint as Father Damien. His connection to the island relates to what is probably the darkest period in its history. In the 19th century, King Kamehameha III set up a leper colony on the Kalaupapa Peninsula in the north of Molokai. From then on, every Hawaiian who became infected with this insidious disease was banished here. Once they arrived on Molokai, the lepers were abandoned to their fate. No one looked after them, and hardly anyone survived. This only changed when Father Damien came to the island. Then as now, only one very steep path led down to Kalaupapa. The leper colony determined the fate of the island for decades. Molokai may look like a Gauguin painting, with everything you'd expect on an island paradise, but for a very long time it remained isolated because of its grim past. Pacific travelers avoided the banana-shaped island quite literally, like the plague. No one knows their way around here better than Buzzy Sprout. He brought the first mules to Molokai more than 30 years ago. A balancing act for the mules. 36 hairpin bands snaking their way down the 900-meter-high cliffs.
This is what mules are made for, they step in those little holes, they're looking out for their own hide, they're self-preservation. And not like horses, sometimes you scare a horse, heck, he jump off, But mules, they don't want to be hurt, get hurt, and they're looking out for their welfare. So that's good. Mules are good to ride.
It'll be another hour before they reach the colony at the bottom. It's very rare for leprosy to be infectious, but Buzzy too felt uneasy when he first met patients in Kalaupapa.
When we grew up, we never even knew about Kalaupapa very much. Nobody talked about it, And when I came and I started going down there, I found out that I had some relatives down there. And I went to see them and we talked, and I've been going there since 1973, and I eat at their house and I shake the hand and I kiss all the old ladies, and we're, doesn't bother me any.
Kalaupapa. These days it's almost like a museum village, clean and tidy. The last 12 patients are free to move away. They could leave the island, but they don't want to. This is their home now. They don't want to go in front of the camera. There's still shame attached to the illness even today. Before Father Damien came, there was nothing here. No houses and no infirmary. New arrivals were often simply thrown into the sea. As late as the 1940s, patients weren't even allowed to shake hands with members of their own family. Kalaupapa was a town divided. The only place where sick and healthy were allowed to meet was in this house. And here too, a screen prevented them from touching each other. Kalaupapa's tragic history has left a scar on the island. But today, many people see Molokai's decades-long isolation as a blessing. With such a wealth of natural beauty, the little island would probably have long since been overrun by mass tourism. The Pesquaya certainly wouldn't have liked that. A family outgoing to the eastern end of the island. In Halawa, Keoki invites the extended family onto the taro field. For Hawaiians, taro was the staple foodstuff for centuries. Now, the family's pulling the plant up by the roots. Later, it'll be boiled in water for hours. The end result is poi, a thick grey mush. Everyone's enjoying themselves in the mud, and Keoki's pleased.
You know, just enough to eat. The family got to participate and actually get dirty. And that's what it's like, yeah. Just, so they can learn, they can experience, they can feel them, yeah.
Change of scene to the island's capital, Kaunakakai, and a meeting of Molokai's #1 hula school. The very busy Raquel is kumuhula, meaning that she runs her own halau, or school, where she's the dance teacher and spiritual leader.
Hula was always a part of Hawaiian culture. It started from way back. It's just legends that's been passed down through history, and that's how we kept the hula strong, through all these songs and dances and chants. And that's how we keep going.
Raquel is the third generation of her family to lead the halau. Her grandmother and her aunt were also kumuhula here.
Our halau is special because we're from Molokai. I don't know. It's we're just a bunch of kids that come and, you know, we got teachers and school kids and that who just love the passion of hula. It's really hard to just keep dancing, you know, because you have so much other things out there that you want to do. But hula, you have to commit to hula. You know, if you don't commit to hula, then no use you come.
In the evening, Raquel holds a session for her top class. She's already taken her halau on tour in Japan and around Europe. Raquel comes across as a gentle soul, but as kumuhula she can be strict too.
Kenny, can you put a little bit more into your dance, and feelings and your hand motions need to be clean.
Raquel's next big goal is the unofficial Hula World Championship in Hilo on Big Island. She wants to win the title for her home island for the first time next spring. Thanksgiving on Molokai. The churches on the island are very well attended, not only on holidays. More than 10 denominations compete for the faithful. As a vicar's daughter, Mikiala practically grew up in a church. Today's service is a real family affair. The Pascuayas have got the church all to themselves.
And the Lord's going to take him soon. That's where my husband is at right now. It's been tough, but you know what? The Lord is good. I don't care what anybody says.
Many people on Molokai haven't had an easy time of it this past year.
To have much to be thankful for, nearing the completion of our new house. And I really gotta say it's been a testament of aloha, because we didn't have any money to build that house, but it's coming up, and it's coming because there's so many friends and family relatives who have come and labored to put it together.
At the end of the ceremony, everyone receives a present. American traditions like Thanksgiving, the spiritual roots of our ancestors, and the Christian faith. For Mikiala, there doesn't have to be a contradiction.
You know, we can debate history and how, the accuracy of things, but we prefer to leave that all for the historians and just take the good parts. And the good part is that we take time out of our year to be thankful.
And then the party can finally get started. American evening at the Pascuayas.
You are a winner.
Right on. Right on.
At 4 in the morning, Keoki's already on his feet again. He and some friends are preparing the imu, the traditional Hawaiian underground oven. They've dug a hole in the ground, almost a meter deep, and filled it with basalt stones. Now the fire has to burn for 9 hours. Good imus take time. Lighting it is the hardest bit.
Well, see, we set all the kindling on the bottom, yeah? And then we kind of leave a hole, and then we set other wood, and so when you light, that thing should go all the way down to the kindling end.
It takes head cook Keoki and his friends half an hour to finally get the imu to the right temperature. It's now 7:30, 3 hours later. Classical division of labor on Molokai. The men are keeping watch over the fire, while the women are at home preparing the birds for the holiday feast. Mikiala has 16 turkeys in the trunk of her car. But first they have to cover the hot basalt stones with stumps from banana trees. On top of that come the turkeys, wrapped in aluminium foil. The food is covered with banana leaves and a damp cloth. The imu basically works like a modern steam cooker. To stop the damp escaping, the imu is finally covered with plastic sheeting, the only break with tradition the Pascuayas allow themselves. Their